Someone wrote in with the question, should marijuana be legalized? Now, this is a very interesting question. I'm sure it'll also be a very controversial question. A lot of debate about it today in the United States of America. Now, I'm going to answer this from two perspectives. I'm going to answer it from the perspective of myself as a Christian, what my conviction is, and myself as a citizen of the United States of America and a libertarian who is a constitutionalist. So you have to look at it from both aspects. If you said to me, living in the United States of America, under the Constitution of the United States of America as we have it, written, though not very much observed anymore today, and many of our Bill of Rights being violated constantly, if you say to me, should marijuana be legalized, I would say, as a citizen of the United States, absolutely. Yes, it should be legalized. Because it's not government's job to dictate to people their own personal lives and personal decisions. The Constitution guarantees the freedoms of the American people, which are often being violated by laws that infringe upon those freedoms. You know, for many, many years, it was okay in this country and legal to use marijuana, opium, many, many hard drugs that today are now banned by our government. You see, you can't legislate a person's decisions. God gave us free will to make choices. He also tells us there's consequences to our choices, and we're always going to reap what we sow. It's not the government's job to come in and tell me how to live my life. That's God's job, okay? God does that in the Bible. Now, as a Christian, if you would say to me, would I use marijuana personally? No, because I believe that there are some things to it that are dangerous. Again, if used too much, it definitely affects your motivation. It affects your ambition to do things. It will cloud your thinking and your mind, and it should never be used while operating a vehicle, because it could endanger others. But as a libertarian now, on the other hand, if a person wants to sit in their home and use it, and they're not endangering anyone else, they should be free to do that, and they shouldn't be put in jail. You know, we could save a lot of money of people who are in jail for the offenses of selling marijuana or purchasing marijuana or using marijuana, that we're wasting literally billions of dollars housing people in prisons over this issue. And as a libertarian, I believe that everybody should have the right to make their own decisions freely. Whatever I put in my body is my decision. And I have to answer to God for that, but not to the government. As long as I'm not threatening someone else's well-being, I should be able to do what I feel. If I want to smoke something or eat something or do some other type of activity, as long as it's not harming another individual, I should be able to do it. Now, most Christians today are Republican, conservative, right-wingers, and they wouldn't agree with my libertarian viewpoint. But on this issue, I've spent a lot of time studying it, and I believe it's biblical in this regard, that God has given everybody freedom. Jesus said, you'll know the truth will set you free, and who the Son sets free is free indeed. And I believe every individual has been given that free will to make choices and to be accountable for those choices. The issue here of marijuana is an issue of individual choices. Government was given not to make choices for us. It wasn't given to provide us health care. It's not the job of government to provide us health care, pay for our education, give us food stamps, pay our rent, any of the things that are entitlements nowadays. Government was established in our Constitution to protect society by enforcing the laws by providing a defense for the nation to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Government was never meant to be the nanny who would take care of everybody and everybody's needs. That's up to me. It's up to me to provide for myself and my family. And if I make bad choices and I suffer, then woe to me. I'm stupid. I should suffer. And, it's like today we have all these people being bailed out of, different types of problems. And a woman gets pregnant once. She doesn't have a father. The father doesn't stay around. He takes off, doesn't support the kid. The government comes in, supports the kid. She gets pregnant again. Government comes in, supports the kid again. Sooner or later, she's got 3 or 4 kids. She's got food stamps. They're paying for her education. They're paying for the daycare. Paying for all the health care. Paying the rent. So she's making bad decisions, and the government's bailing her out. And the people who are doing the right thing are being punished. The government says, we'll take your money and we'll give it to her. You did the right thing, we'll punish you, we'll take your money. This person did the wrong thing, we'll give it to her because she's a victim. Not trying to pick on anybody, but it's just the truth. A society cannot exist and last that way. And it's the same thing with this issue of marijuana. You cannot come into a person's life and say, oh, that's bad for you. You can't do it. The government shouldn't do that. Oh, it's bad for you. Don't do it. So just make it illegal. Have you stopped the use of it by making it illegal? No. People are still doing it. Alcohol, again, here's the hypocrisy. Alcohol is legal. It was one time illegal, but it's legal. Marijuana is probably about the same. Danger there, in smoking it. And obviously there is a medical use for marijuana, like it does help people with certain illnesses and sicknesses, especially cancer and maybe some type of people who have eye troubles. It does help. So there's medical marijuana. It has a purpose and a use. So again, this issue, you could debate all day about this. And in the end, it comes down to what is your personal political viewpoint. Mine is the libertarian viewpoint. As a Christian, I would never use it. I would tell my people that I teach, don't use it. Okay? But as a citizen in a free country, it's not my right to infringe upon someone else's decision. If they want to use it, then they're free to use it. And you know what? If they screw up their life, let them suffer. Many years ago, when there was no entitlement system and there was no safety blanket of the government for everybody to run to when they messed their lives up, people had a choice. Either I destroy my life and die, or I shape up and do the right thing. Many years ago, back at the turn of the last century, the 20th century, the gutter was filled with the winos. And the wino in the gutter had a choice. I either shape up and start making right decisions and get off the alcohol, or I'm going to die here in the gutter. And that's their choice. Now you say, you're a Christian, that seems so harsh. No, I'd go to them with the gospel. I'd tell them about Christ who could set them free. But for the government to come in and say, we're just going to keep bailing you out so you can continue in this lifestyle, that's nonsense. That's ridiculous. You're not helping anybody. A person has to come to the point where they become responsible for their actions. That's biblical. Accountability for your actions. If you're always going to bail them out and give them a safety, and that's where they can continually make wrong decisions and still not have to suffer the consequences, they're never going to do the right thing. So we touched on a lot of areas here, more than just is it okay to smoke marijuana or should it be legal? But when you open up that question, you open up a can of worms. There's a lot of other issues, and we could go on with this for hours and hours and hours. In the end, I would say, as a libertarian, yes, marijuana should be legal. It should be legal for those who need it medically, and it should be legal because it's not the government's job to infringe upon people's personal liberty and lives. As a Christian, would I, use it? No. And it's like the same question. I'll give you one more thing. Lawrence Vance, I read an article by him, and he's a Baptist fellow who's a Christian. He's also a libertarian. He said something about prostitution, which I agreed with. Now, this is really going to make people upset. But he wrote an article, and he said, you know, prostitution should be legal. As a Christian, I'm against it. It's sinful and it's wrong, and I wouldn't do it. But it's not the government's job to come in and legislate what goes on between two people. You know, now I know a lot of Christians will really jump on me for that one, and I'm sure they jumped on Lawrence Vance for that. I can be against something morally and not participate it because I believe it's sin, but that doesn't give me the right or the government the right to go and make something criminal because I don't like it or I find it immoral. You see? And this is where we've gone wrong in America, and that's why we're in the mess we're in today, and maybe we'll talk about that in a future Q&A.